All right. Good morning or good afternoon to everybody who's listening out there. Welcome to the 3PL panel today on fulfillment technology, how to differentiate and win customers. First and foremost, thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate your time. So folks, the goal of today is to have a discussion with some of our 3PL customer base to talk a little bit about how new technologies such as 6 Rivers Chuck, AMRs, can help change or differentiate your appearance to your general prospects and customers you're looking to gain, as well as help you land additional business or new and expanded accounts. So I'm the host, Greg Walls. So I run our East Coast Canada sales teams here at 6 River Systems. And we're going to go around and introduce everybody one at a time. So JJ, if you'd like to kick us off.
Sure. Thanks, Greg, for having me. JJ Etheridge, I lead our solutions and strategy group within XPO, the logistics business unit on the Americas and Asia Pacific half of the world. Been with XPO about 5 years now. Prior to that, I was in retail for several years, so kind of saw the digital revolution in retail, all this e-commerce coming about and the digital marketing and the digital revolution. Towards the end of my time in retail, that was shifting heavily to supply chain, and saw XPO was aligned in the technology frame of mind, and so joined XPO. So it's been great. Been a partner of 6 River for a few years now. We love the partnership. We keep pushing each other to do better and evolve and expand our solution set. So happy to join this panel.
Excellent. Thank you, JJ. Padhu, go ahead.
Thanks, Greg. I'm Padhu Raman. I'm the Chief Product Officer and the founding team member at Project Verte. I know many people have been wondering who Project Verte is. We are a data-driven digital platform company, mainly focused on empowering brands in their growth with our more adaptable and flexible solutions, and especially with this constant changing e-commerce and social commerce landscape, right? So our platform is primarily enables brands to do a sell anywhere. We have a built-in connectors to connect any marketplaces and their virtual stores. At the same time, we enable them to fulfill in every way in our fulfillment centers or through our distributed logistics network into any other means of channel retail. And also we provide a digital portal, a consolidated portal for team to manage the orders, the inventory in one consolidated place, and also provide good intelligent information systems. So our association with 6 Rivers started this year. I mean, really in a very short span of 8 weeks, we kick off the project, we went live, and we are right now shipping customers with 6 Rivers. Very happy with the partnership and what they say in terms of flexibility and adaptability and rapid deployment, we could see in practical experience.
Excellent. Thank you, Padhu. Mike Reiner, want to go ahead?
All right, good afternoon. Mike Reiner, I'm the Senior Operations Manager here at our Louisville facility. Igor Micro, I've been with for 23 years now. Started in Pennsylvania, and that's where I first met 6 Rivers about 5 years ago, working on a pilot. We implemented 6 Rivers into this Louisville site last Q2 with a go live in Q3. We distribute apparel here, and really excited seeing all the promises fulfilled. Great partner, and looking forward to the future.
Excellent. Mike Myers, go ahead.
Thanks, Greg. Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Myers. I'm with ODW Logistics. I've been in the industry for a little over 6 years. We've had our Chuck deployment in Columbus, Ohio for a little over 1.5 years. That's a facility focused on personal care primarily. There's a couple exceptions, but a lot of hair care, body wash, etc. ODW has been providing warehousing for a little over 40 years. We have around 5 million square feet of warehouse space across about 30 locations for about 210 clients, to give you a bit of background about ODW.
Excellent. And Mr. Go, why don't you finish us off?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. My name is Rick Go. I am the Vice President of Supply Chain for Distribution Management. We go to market 2 different segments. our core business, it's been around for 40 plus years, is wholesale distribution of ink and toner for companies like, and we support companies like Hewlett Packard, Lexmark, Xerox, anything that's going into a copier or a printer. And about 6 years ago, we decided we would utilize our infrastructure and get into third-party fulfillment. And we are supporting a whole host of verticals, from electronics to nutraceuticals, apparel, so on and so forth. I've been with the company 17 years. I'm in my 17th year. We actually engaged with Six Rivers about 15 months ago. And in those 15 months, we have deployed 3 implementations from start to finish. So we opened a greenfield facility in Carlisle, Pennsylvania in September of 2019. We implemented our Dallas facility in March of this year, and in May we went live in our St. Louis facility. So it's been a great partnership over the last 15 months, and we look forward to growing that as well.
Awesome.
But again, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you all. And again, thank you all for joining us here today. And for the audience who's listening right now, so we have 3 or 4 questions that we're going to go through. That's the panel questions for the next 20 minutes. And then the last 5 minutes will be a live Q&A. So I have this chat screen up in front of me. If you have a question for any of our panelists, feel free to post that in the chat window to your right, and I'll pick up on that, and we'll start that towards the end of the session. So to kick things off, first question. How often do new prospects focus on the technology enablement in your network when evaluating you as a partner? And how has that changed in the past decade? And Padhu, if you want to lead us off, and then we'll take it by panelists from there.
Sure. I think if you think from a prospect perspective, we are a multi-seller, right? From our perspective, our prospects look at broadly in 2 broader categories, right? From a brand requirements perspective, they are looking from customer experience and engagement, and experience everything in this modern world of e-commerce, right? And then how well we are able to adapt to the latest market and environment trends. So, from our prospects looking as because most of our sellers range from whether they ship less than 50 orders per day or going up to 15,000 orders per day. Most of them probably are in Shopify and other areas. So they're looking for a technology which will seamlessly connect to those their order capture systems, and how well we orchestrate the order, and how well we fulfill from an end-to-end experience perspective, right? So that's the primary way they look from a technology perspective to us, and how soon we can adapt to their requirements in terms of deployment, onboarding them, and how well we meet them in their seasonal spikes and no-brainer, right? This COVID situation, how well we can onboard them. So those are the key criteria, right? How scalable we are, and how well we can integrate with any technology platform or other in terms of order capture or in terms of last mile. And in between comes the fulfillment, how seamless it can operate and fulfill, right? Those are the broader categories. And that's how the aspect of Project Verte itself is to satisfy those needs as well, as a genesis of that perspective. And those are the key things I would say they look from us.
Excellent. Rick, I know you've been involved in a number of new pursuits and opportunities, especially with some of the deployments at Six Rivers. Do you want to speak to this question as well?
Certainly. So, to echo what Padhu said, I think quick connectivity, seamless connectivity is probably key from our perspective. I think when a client comes into our facilities and they see, that we are innovative and we're not just using old technology. We have a lot of quality controls in place, and then with the assistance of Six Rivers, having the ability to turn orders quickly, and really just showing that we're just not sitting back and looking for low-cost labor. We're positioning ourselves for success, and I think they can see that as well.
Excellent. And one last person I'd be curious this response from JJ. I know XPO especially has a global footprint, and I'm sure you're hearing this from other folks as well. Just curious your thoughts on this same concept of how are customers, especially around the globe, asking for does technology change or impact the way they do your business?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the challenges in the supply chain functional area increase. As you know, it's been mentioned many times in this conference. I think it's a well-known trend that e-commerce is increasing, and with e-commerce increasing is the expectation of faster. There's higher peaks. So you have to be better at forecasting, and you need to be accurate when you're fulfilling to a customer versus fulfilling to a shell. And to do that, you need to be closer. To be faster, you need to be closer to the population. So you need a more distributed network. And to do all of the above, you need intelligence, technology, automation to be more cost effective. You need automation to help mitigate the risks of, not everyone's great at forecasting, some of those peaks. So, automation helps mitigate some of those risks. And then, of course, automation helps with accuracy. Six Rivers helped us a lot with accuracy. So
excellent.
definitely seeing the need for technology.
Yeah, no, good answer. And it's interesting. I picked up the keyword of speed from all three of your answers. Speed and connectivity. And I think as we continue to see this world of e-commerce grow and through COVID and everything, that's going to become all that more important, right? It's a differentiator. I laughed a little bit. I know some of our guests can't see here all the different panels at the same time, but everybody smiled when JJ mentioned not every customer is good at forecasting, which I think all of us in the 3PL world would understand and sympathize with a little bit. So yeah, speed and flexibility, right? Those are two ways to solve for some of those challenges. So excellent. So our next question here, what does automation in the fulfillment environment allow you to do that was not possible in the past? Scalability, flexibility, changes in throughput. And again, why don't we kick off with Padhu and then we'll head off around the room.
Yeah, I mean, it's no brainer for us, right? So we are, again, a multi-seller fulfillment provider. So we wanted to evaluate in 5-6 key categories. One, from a throughput capacity, how well we can do faster. Different fulfillment types, because each seller has different product categories and different storage type. And then the unit of measure is different. And so how we can connect all these aspects. So definitely after getting a flexible automation system with 6 Rivers, we are able to increase our throughput at a very high rate. We are able to do multiple location types. We pick from pallets, we pick from bin locations. And then the other benefit from accuracy standpoint, I think JJ alluded to that, is because the 6 Rivers chucks as like a work instruction driven methodology, right? So the picker is able to follow the work instruction seamlessly. So that has drastically increased accuracy because they're able to see the picture, they're able to scan it, they validate it, and just follow, right? So that has seamlessly helped us in terms of providing a great accuracy. And then also we use this chucks to also sort to our different pack stations because of e-commerce. We have a vast requirements, we have a different carrier requirements. So we also use kind of a sortation equipment as well. So that gives again a flexibility to scale and adapt and also manage a seasonality. So it has definitely changed the way we operate and how we can adapt. And so that's a great benefit to us. And also the last thing I would say is the very important is the traceability and the transparency, right? So we can see an order flow from the time it's order captured till the fulfillment and how the fulfillment went through and how the real-time updates help in terms of our brands as well to manage their flow. So,
excellent. No, thank you, Padhu. And Mike Reiner, I know your implementation of 6 Rivers in particular has a couple of interesting facets around it, around integrations with other types of technology and such. So I want to take a crack at this question as well.
Yep. So Padhu touched on a lot of things. We realized those as well. I do want to touch on the fact that we have greater predictability with the system, improved efficient training because of just to the point of you have the screen, not as many words, as more pictures. Yes, with the integration across multiple systems. So, RWMS, but we also have 2 autobaggers, which is a third system. So, the ability to partner and integrate and run across multiple systems has really been beneficial for us.
Excellent. Anybody else want to take a shot at that question before we move on to our next one?
Yeah, a couple of things I'd mention along the lines of what everyone's talking about. So the flex, particularly on flexible automation solutions like Six River, it allows you to get going. Our clients want to take a step, and often if they have to know what the perfect forecast is 5 years later, 10 years later, or know exactly what infrastructure they need, they can't get going. And so flexible solutions that provide you can get going. Cash is king. You can invest a little bit, you can learn, and you have optionality to pivot afterwards are really what they're looking for. And the second thing that wasn't mentioned that was a unique benefit, especially in this environment, is it's actually allowed us to become more safe. Intermingling automation and the copots has allowed us to be even more socially distanced in our warehouse, and we're providing a safer environment. And then finally, just like people like to use advanced technology in their personal life with their consumer products, the workforce these days have a better employee satisfaction when they're using advanced technology at work. And it's removing some of the tedious, activities for the more important activities.
Yeah. And Greg, one of the, to that point, that the cool factor, right? When an employee can say, I'm just not, taking orders. I'm literally working with robotics. It's something that they take a lot of pride in. For our perspective, and to add to the flexibility, just the fact that you map the facility, the robots know where they have to go, you can bring people in, and the onboarding time is very, very seamless. A new associate doesn't have to learn the layout of the distribution center, which allows for the ramp-up time to be very, very quick, where it might take 2 or 3 weeks for somebody to really get to the point where they're meeting productivity standards. Now they can do it in a very, very short clip. And then the last thing would be part of the flexibility is, in our facilities, historically we've had centerline conveyors, and we would pick by zone, and it was very, very rigid. So as we get into third-party fulfillment, it didn't allow us to scale in a timely manner. A new client comes in, you set up rack, you set up shelving, and if you didn't have conveyor in that area, then you were moving product to the conveyor. You weren't utilizing the automation at all. So with introducing Six Rivers, we ran into a situation where right before we went live in Carlisle, we landed a new customer, and within, I guess it was probably 10 days, we had an additional 12 chucks delivered, and basically it was plug and play. So allowed us to ramp up very, very quickly.
We had a very similar experience. When we went live, our target customer was not really functioning the way we intended to for internal issues within the operation, and we pivoted to another operation within the same facility. Had the solution ramped up within 3 or 4 days, really. And then recently that customer has also exited the building, and 2 weeks later we've pivoted the solution to work on 2 new accounts, 2 new customers. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Sorry, go ahead, Mike. Do you have something to say?
Sorry. Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention your dashboards. The amount of data that comes out of those, it allows the team to make good decisions based on data, as well as help you look at learnings and help the team adapt and adjust as well, and just take a different perspective on productivity and other measurements that are out there. The dashboards are extremely helpful.
Yeah, I think you all will be excited, and especially as users of our technology, to kind of see what we're coming out through with the upcoming year as we begin to scale up some more of our data capabilities. I know that's been a big ask from a lot of people. So we recently switched to Tableau. I think we're trying to make a lot of those screens more intuitive. Shopify UX team is starting to pitch in, which is incredibly helpful. So I think you all enjoy what will be coming down the road for us this year. So awesome, great. So the next question we have. This conference, obviously, we've talked a lot about what's coming down the roadmap, some of our other more advanced programs. So, when you look at your Six River technology and some of the other advanced programs that are coming in, so mobile sort, auto loader, things like Fast Lane, which is the robotic picking arm. Where do you see some potential opportunities for these technologies? And, when you look at the larger state of automation, what excites you about some of those different approaches? So why don't we start with Mike Greiner, and then we'll go from there.
Well, for us, we've discussed the auto load. It looks really cool, especially with us having the mobile sort walls and moving totes. But two things that we're really focused on partnering with you is on our alternate pick, where if the original pick isn't able to be fulfilled, we'll get an alternate pick from a different location seamlessly put into the chuck, and then the ability to do put away and replenishment with the chucks, and that way we'll be able to do zone processing where folks would be able to be in one area and pick input and replenishment all within their area. So those are two areas that we're really looking forward to working with you guys on for next year.
Awesome. Mike Myers, anybody else?
Yeah, the areas I see, of what's in the current roadmap that would have immediate upside for our operations would really be the mobile sort and Fast Lane. In particular, Fast Lane, there's a lot of SKUs within our network that fit that type of pick profile really well. So that's an area that we're really excited. Another area I would like to continue expanding is some inventory validation, some inventory checks around, maybe a really simple count back procedure for validation when we're at an empty or a less than case quantity, that type of area, to really gain more traction into the rest of the operation.
I hope some of you were able to watch the wall-to-wall fulfillment video I released earlier today, because that's we are heading right in that same direction, guys. So awesome feedback. Anybody else before we want to hop to our last question here?
I'll put a plug in for auto load unload. We were very excited to see that at Modex and this year, and we think when we target areas of inefficiency, I think that could give us the biggest lift this year.
Yeah, the indirect labor, right? It's what are the non-value add parts of this process? So the moving things, lifting, unlifting. Mike, even your comment, the countbacks, right? So those are well in our sights as far as things that we can optimize and or potentially reduce altogether. So great points, guys. Great points, all of you. So our last question before we'll switch to the customer or the live Q&A here. What are your thoughts on the direction that we can go, and how can we better make our technology work for you and enable you as 3PL leaders to earn more customers, differentiate yourselves, speed up your own process? We'd love to just have an open discussion around where you see some potential areas of improvement that we, Six Rivers, can make. And Rick, I know you've been involved in a lot of the product engineering, and especially with your 3 sites you developed. If you want to lead us off, and we'll go from there.
From my perspective, and I think you just started, or this last update includes it, is giving us the ability to have the various inductions, being able to assign chucks to specific organizations. As our facilities get larger and larger, we can't come back to the same meeting points or the same induction points or takeoff points. And so all of that logic specifically, I think, is going to benefit all of us. I don't know how many of your customers and clients are utilizing the chucks for multiple clients, but we do see that as a big win. I know you guys are working on various footprints of the chuck and levels, and again, I think based on specific client needs, that's going to be a great advancement, a great enhancement to the program.
Awesome. Mike, you want to answer next?
Yeah, would love to see non-induction point induction, meaning induct out in the wild or replicate at a takeoff point. I could see mobile printers or mobile stations throughout a facility, and you just allocate that induction to the next nearest one as a feasible solution, especially with an auto induct mechanism where you're utilizing totes, and you may not even need a distinct LP for picking processes. Another area I would really like to see growth is orchestration of the entire facility, going back into that count back concept, but more so with other technology. You know, the chuck itself provides a lot of value, and you can do a lot of things from a human interaction, from an order completion standpoint, but there's some limitations on physical capability, and there's other technologies out there that solve that. The struggle is there's not a great WMS solution or second layer solution out there today to orchestrate all of those inventory movements and really create order and inventory flow. So I would love to see you guys dive into that realm a little bit.
Again, I think you all be happy and excited to see what we come up with after this conference here. So that is absolutely a direction that, and you know, we heard it from a lot of our customers about this larger orchestration. So I think you'll all be excited to see what some of the product roadmap looks like for going into the first half of next year. So guys, we have 4 minutes left. Thank you all for your participation. I'm going to go to the live questions over here. So we'll start with one, and I apologize, I'm glancing off the screen, looking at the chat box here, but here's a good one. Which of the older technologies do you see being phased out from your operations or the warehouse in general? So maybe things like conveyor, types of RF picking, I don't know, types of software stack.
So Greg, from my perspective, especially with this site, I've already seen it. It's cart picking. You know, we use the cluster pick type process, and with the implementation of 6 Rivers, that's pretty much gone. We do 1% or less of any processing on a cart.
Excellent. Anybody else want to take a stab at that question?
Yeah, I'd go, I mean, along the lines of the previous discussion, anything that's, hey, you need to know, you know, now what your forecast is in 5 years. So when you're bolting in steel, conveyor systems and whatnot, which, you know, is a huge investment and means you need to know which way the wind's going to blow 10 years out. Anything like that, we're trying to maintain our agility and optionality as much as possible. You know, so we're tending away from those type of solutions.
And definitely we have changed or everything is a rapid deployment integration, right? All the old integration is now going away, the seamless integration, and definitely I think conveyors and RFs is another thing. Definitely we're not probably going away from that.
Awesome. No, all good answers. And again, I hear that keyword, right? Speed and flexibility. And I think that all lines up well with probably all of your experiences and with even just what's happened in the past 6 months, right? Being able to move rapidly due to changes in your own customer profiles, changes in the world around us. So our last question here before we close out the session, of all the technology choices you have, how do you see 6 Rivers differentiating themselves from others in this space as far as mobile robots go? I promise that was not a planted question, but curious what the response is to that from you folks.
I think it's really this. It's the process of the customer base coming together, having discussions around what functions really well, where we can make tweaks, where we can see it being applicable in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I think that's really a differentiator. It's not that other providers, technology providers, aren't doing something similar. It's just, I think most people here would agree, we've seen suggestions and recommendations actually come into the pipeline and several in facilities.
Excellent.
So from my perspective, Greg, you know, we looked at several of your competitors before we made this decision, and quite frankly, it came down to people. It came down to the fact that 6 Rivers took the time to learn our business, understand where we were going, critiqued us when we needed to. You know, if we were going in a direction that maybe wasn't the right direction, at least as far as they were concerned. But they truly understood our business, our volumes, our growth expectations, and sized and designed a solution. Whereas the others, I don't know. Again, at least in our experience, they didn't do that. So I think that was a huge differentiator for 6 Rivers.
Just want to add the next point, right? So we have other automation systems as well, but one thing I got a feedback directly when we deployed 6 Rivers, the system was built by operators for the operators, right? That was a great comment from the people who are using the system to really adapt, and there's no resistant change management, happy from the day one, right? So that differentiates really, right? So you're thinking from end-to-end cycle, from full circle perspective, how flexible, easy from an operation standpoint, people, the users want to use it and adapting to it.
Awesome. Well, we are unfortunately out of time here, but thank you all so much for your time today and the continued support in 6 Rivers and our partnership. Looking forward to what we can do together in the upcoming year. And for all those of you who are listening at home, join us for our next session here at 2:50, which is our concluding session for the day, First Day Thoughts, led by Chris Lingenfelter. Thank you all and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Greg.